Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Alan Ruff and Alison McConnell are here with me. Lots of football to talk about. And thank you to you for hitting the subscribe button. So many people in their thousands joining us now that we are exclusively live on YouTube. It is our own channel. We've been everywhere, Ruffy, haven't we? Radio, television. Now we're doing our own. In year number 10. They say nobody gets 10 in a row. I'm still wondering whether we're going to get right to the end of it, but nevertheless.
At least it's a proper studio.
Yeah.
It's a proper studio compared to some of the places we've been in.
Absolutely, Ruffy. And thank you to so many people who obviously are sending us messages on a regular basis. We try and read as many of them as we possibly can. They are coming in fast and furious. Some of them like to ask Ruffy wee questions, and obviously some people like to give us their opinion, which we value. And on our feed as well, on our YouTube channel, so many people are always looking forward to the show and always joining us really quickly. Stuart Ramsey is one of those guys in the West Midlands. I don't know what Stuart does for a living, but every day at 4 o'clock, Ruffy, he's there, he's with us, and you've got to hand it to him. Johnny from sunny Pennsylvania is where Johnny is from. Pennsylvania.
I've never been there.
We're doing well, Ruffy. Well, I'll tell you, as you know, in the summer, if all goes according to plan and we're not involved in World War III, I think I'll hit the west coast of America and give it big licks. Not that Pennsylvania's there, but nevertheless.
No, well, I did it 2 years ago. As you know, I did the South trip.
Yeah.
And it was great. I enjoyed everybody.
Did you feel as if you'd found your true home?
Yeah, no, I thought it was
Bubba.
great. Nashville, New Orleans. It was just great.
Yeah, you know, fantastic.
Seeing it. Because you usually just see it in the telly, don't you, in the holiday programmes, but to actually go and do it, it's super.
Well, here's a great question for you, Ruffy, but we'll put it to Alison first of all, because it's International Women's Day. If you could take 3 inspirational women with you in a road trip down the west coast of America, who would it be?
Oh, that's too hard.
That's a belter, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to give me 5 minutes to think about that one,
yeah,
and then come back to me.
Well, okay. I've got my first 2, Ruffy, that I would probably take with me.
Is it okay if they're dead?
Hey? No. You don't really get much response out of them.
No, but if they were, if it was
you want somebody who's from the past?
Yes.
Honestly, you know Marilyn Monroe was a 16 size dress. So I'm just wondering what kind of car you're taking.
Oh, what are you going to say? There's nothing the matter with 16 sizes.
No, it's fine. It's fine, but I'm just saying, if you're going to put women in there of a certain vintage, and I know the way your mind works, right, I've got Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama was the one I was saying.
Yeah, and I'm going to take Reese Witherspoon because...
Reese Witherspoon?
Yeah, because I just love Reese Witherspoon. Ruffy, what about yourself?
She's only about 4'11".
Well, fantastic. She's talented. She's a talented lady.
I'd take Denise Mina. I really like Denise Mina.
Yeah.
Glasgow author, crime writer. She's fantastic.
I'd probably take Barbara Streisand.
I might take Sarah Koenig, the master of the podcast genre.
Yeah.
For some interesting chat.
There you are. Wow. Hey, what a heavy car that's going to be, eh? Hey?
How many is it? 3?
3. Have you got anybody yet?
Oh, Kim Bassinger. I take Kim Bassinger.
For the chat.
Okay, lovely. Well, I don't even know why I bothered with that question. It kind of went downhill. Let's... Hugh Scott says, good to see Alison back. Great scoop yesterday, Peter. Lenny won't be taking the Ammonia Nicosia job. 2 hours later, it was confirmed. Absolutely. I'll tell you right now, Hugh, I'm gobsmacked he took it. I mean, I'm absolutely gobsmacked because... I don't know. It's a strange one for him to take. I can only see problems with that job for him.
It's very left field. I think it's not one you would have anticipated. I think you might have thought of something closer to home. I know he's been linked with a few jobs south of the border and a couple here too.
Yeah.
I think you would have expected the geography to stay fairly similar to where he is now. I think it shows a level of ambition, but I think it also suggests he's very, very keen to get back in. He obviously feels as though he's spent enough time out of the game and maybe just feels that he doesn't want too much time to pass. I think sometimes there's a fear that you almost become forgotten, that you become yesterday's man, and there's maybe just a keenness to get back in.
Yeah, listen, I mean, sometimes money can be the driving force. Sometimes it's, the whole deal looks appealing, but I don't know. Listen, nobody more than me hopes he does well for it. I really hope Neil, is able to, his management style works over there. But I have my doubts.
Well, we're actually 15 minutes too early because I'm expecting a call for him when I come in. I put a call out for him. He's been at a couple of Partick Thistle games. He's enjoyed them thoroughly. I gave him an Alan Shearer jersey for my son-in-law to get signed, and I want it back before he goes.
Yeah, I knew there had to be a line.
So he's going to call me. He was going to call me. So I was going to ask him all these questions. So maybe tonight, when he calls me back, we might know some of these answers. But I mean, this team's been in this Conference Cup, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's a wee bit of something there. You know, something they can build on. The weather's going to be certainly better than what it is here. And as Ali said, maybe just getting away. Everything he's had to put up with in the last 6 or 7 years, and it has been quite a lot, football wise and off the field. So maybe it's a fresh start for everything.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the thing about it is, Ali, they won the title last year, so you know they've got a bit of pedigree. They've obviously been in the bottom end of the league this year, and I think that's why they made the change.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll have looked at all the circumstances surrounding it. I don't think he'll be going out blind. I think he's obviously decided that it's a good fit for him. It remains to be seen whether or not that's the way it transpires, but I think maybe it just feels a fresh start for him, a new chapter, that you go away and you have an opportunity just to recalibrate in a way and just start again.
So we bit like Davy Moyes. You know, Davy went to Spain.
Yeah.
You know, to a good side, obviously, you know, and a good league, a better league, obviously, than the Cyprus league. But maybe they just say to themselves, I need to get out of the environment I've been in and see some new things and then come back refreshed.
Yeah.
Sometimes too it just comes down to the fact that there's a tangible offer on the table, that there's a job there and there's a decision to be made, and if there's maybe not been a few of those up until now, then you know it becomes quite tempting. If there's a day-to-day job that you're keeping yourself busy, that you're back doing what you love doing on a daily basis, and you fancy that it's a club that matches your own ambition.
Yeah, well, he definitely has something as a manager, Neil. I think a lot of people, obviously it went horribly wrong at Celtic last season, but it wasn't just his fault. There were a number of factors that I think absolutely derailed Celtic. But he follows in Henningberg as the manager. So Henningberg had led them to the title, and you know, it hasn't gone according to plan. He's now got to get in there and try and put something down as a marker that he's got what it takes. So we shall see. I wish him all the best in that job, but it's going to be a tough one, I have to say. And I was utterly surprised. I know Hugh Scott mentioned it there, but I couldn't see him take that job. But he's there. Another man who was connected with Celtic, who's looking as if he's about to call a time on his career, is Scott Brown. Huge speculation over the last couple of days that maybe with Jim Goodwin not picking him for the team, they did mention that it was just an injury and he had been playing for about 70 minutes in midweek, that he decided to leave him out. But I think the general feeling now is Scott's thinking of, listen, that's it, time to call it a day and maybe get a coaching job somewhere.
Yeah, I think there were chats today just about trying to come to an agreement over his contract, to sever the contract in a way that's suitable to both parties. It would release him from his time at Aberdeen, and I think it'll be interesting to see where he goes next. I think he made no secret of the fact that he fancied pursuing a coaching career. I think
he's been a failure up there?
No, I don't. I think I think he contributed in terms of the playing sense. I think you know why he went to Aberdeen. I think he went because his best friend offered him a job. He went to try and support him. It's not quite worked out for Stephen Glass, but I think overall he made a fairly decent contribution. I think that'd be reflected in the esteem that he's now held by the Aberdeen fans, and it was a group of support that I don't think had much time for him, having come up against him. And you know, Scott Brown likes the pantomime villain stuff that we've seen for time and time again. So I think to go and endear yourself to a support who didn't have much time for you maybe tells its own story.
Yeah, Johnny says, lovely sunny place, Cyprus. And maybe Bruni to Cyprus, says Thomas O'Connor. Johnny says Brun was a failure. I don't think he was a failure, Ruffy. I thought the failure was, I think, Stephen Glass's inability to grasp that if you're going to go in there and build a side, you need to first of all make sure you're difficult to beat. I thought he had a not bad goalkeeper. Joe Lewis is a good goalie to build your team around. He made a few blunders here and there, but still a good goalkeeper of good calibre. The back four, I mean, he's got a young Calvin Ramsey there. And then after that, you know, he's still young, and you needed experience around him. And I thought the back four was all over the place at times. And I actually thought at times most of the goals that they were losing were because two centre-halves couldn't think like centre-halves because they weren't good enough.
Yeah, well, the original reason he was taken there was to bring the younger players on, like McCrory and Ferguson. You know, him sitting in the middle and them learning all the experience for him. And then he started getting shunted back to centre-half and moved about. And no, I think it's just been a collective at Aberdeen. I don't think anybody up there has performed, and I wouldn't put Scott into that bracket. He's went out and did what he does, and that's what you get week in, week out, you know. And no, I wouldn't say he was. I just think it's the Aberdeen team as a whole have not performed at all.
Yeah, absolutely. We shall see how Jim Goodwin builds that team. But I'll tell you now, Ali, I looked at the team, even when Jim Goodwin was defending them a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, even the boys that he's defending will be out that door. I can see 6 or 7 players that Jim Goodwin will not put up with in that first team.
I think you'll see huge changes come the end of the season. I think it will be about ensuring they remain in the league. And I think...
What a line that is, isn't it?
Realistically, you know, they consolidate their position, they get through this season, and then I think there will be a rebuilding process this summer.
Yeah. Too good to go down?
I don't think anyone's too good to be down. To be fair, they should be. I think when you look at where they are and you look at how poor St Johnstone and Dundee have been, I think they are better than that, but I'm not sure that that's a given for any team. Once you get into if you're stuck in the bottom 6 and you go into the latter stages, I think it can be a free-for-all. I think you can end up getting sucked into it.
Yeah, I'd like to read out some points, because obviously at the end of the day we are not the light, the way and the truth when it comes to the opinion, although some people do pontificate on various programmes as if whatever comes out of their gob is gospel. But I might as well tell you, you know, this is the great thing about this programme. We'll give you an opinion. Dr. Tickle, not his real name because he doesn't want anybody to know his real name, but I'm going to read it out anyway because I think it's a fair reflection of the type of comment you get about Scott Brown. Brown played in a team when the manager was sacked, and the team is currently 10th in the SPFL. How can that not be a failure? Brown was and is a failure. What a nonsense from the panel. Now that comes into the category, I think, of there are a group of people who just hate Scott Brown for his whole 14 years of success at Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, every club has got somebody like that, you know, that as Ali said, you know, fans love to hate. They don't want to admit he's a reasonable player or a player of quality. But I think if you
look at Andrew Shiney yesterday. Yeah. I asked the guy who watches him every week, is he a failure? Was he a failure? Is he the reason for it? And he said, no, the Aberdeen fans really took to him. He wasn't the reason.
Well, he wasn't the reason because he gives you a shift, you know, because he does what he's good at. He puts himself about, he winds people up, you know, and he'll drive people forward. I just don't think the quality was up there to get them to drive forward, you know what I mean, to be in the middle, and I don't think McCrory and I don't think Ferguson have lived up to what we think about them. So rather than having a go at Scott Brown, I'd be looking at the two that I've just mentioned there to say, why are they now kicking on?
Yeah.
Why they know that? Because they're really, really good players. There's no doubt about that, but they don't seem to have went to another level.
Yeah, I just thought as well, you know, that their whole plan, their whole game plan was a scattergun approach to everything. If they couldn't sort out the back line, they'd no width to play to get balls into the box. You're pinning everything on the boy Ramirez. Jet is never an Aberdeen player, although no harm to the boy. He's a good target man, but he's not really the future for Aberdeen. So I think he's one of many that I think will just look and cut their losses and say thanks, by the way, but you're not really what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. I think the real problem is when you're not difficult to beat, when you're leaking soft goals game after game after game, I think it becomes impossible, and I think there's always a real danger that you find yourself slipping down the table. I think coupled with a failure really to be taking chances at the other side of the park, I thought Aberdeen were very frail at the back.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for all the comments about Scott Brown. Sometimes there are some that I just can't read out because I think there are certain players in life that just kind of are really annoy people, and no matter what happens, they've not got a good word to say. I found that about my, and I still call him my pal, even though he's moved on to pastures new. But Barry was like that.
Yeah.
Barry was a born winner as well, and lots of people just couldn't tolerate him. But I think the thing about it, Ruffy, is we like people who have got a big mouth and like a right good tackle and a good noise up. That's the type of people we bring in here.
No, but the thing about it is, generally the people that people don't like are good players. Because they don't like them coming to their ground and doing something special.
Yeah.
And that's generally why they don't like them.
Yeah.
Sorry, and Boydie comes into that category as well.
Absolutely, he does. Yeah. And again, the perception of Chris Boyd and the reality of him is totally different, you know.
And you could throw Lenny into that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Sutton.
Yeah.
Another, you know, there's lots of people. You kind of buck the trend though, you're just likeable.
I'm not going to noise anybody up on the park.
Yeah. Did you ever have any fight with anybody, Ruffy?
No, on the park?
Yeah.
No.
Was there anybody that kind of, maybe jumped in at you and then they kind of pushed you and you thought, hey,
No,
what's
because
happening?
I don't know. I don't know what it's different for it is now, but we all seem to be pals.
Yeah.
You know, I know they are all pals now, but it doesn't seem to be...
Said the man who was involved in a 21... He was the only man not involved in a 21-man punch-up at Easter Road on Souness's return to Scotland. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, but you know why.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you were booked.
Yeah, I was booked. If I'd have went up, I'd have got booked. I'd have been the one everybody had been talking about. I'd have got sent off. It would have been Graham Souness.
If I had been booked like you, I'd have been up there to take the red. without a shadow of doubt. And I raced up there to protect my teammates and, took somebody out for good measure. As the manager, as any manager will tell you, a good manager will say, if you're going to get sent off, make sure there's a right good reason for it, Ali. Don't get sent off for just, nothing, Anyway, apart from anything else, Brownie fits into that. Barry Ferguson, again, it's just the type of people we like, which is why we hired you as well, Ali. We like Gobby. Anyway. That's what the show's all about, Ruffy, isn't it? So, mentioning Gobby, don't forget we've got still Tam McManus on the show tomorrow, and Charlie's not going to be here, so Richard Foster's in, and Richard really is. He's been an interesting substitute for us, Ruffy. He is Gobby, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I think he feels more. I'm not just saying that. He looks more relaxed here than what he does when he does his BBC slot.
Yeah,
and I think he's more comfortable, and you see a different side of him on this show than you do on BBC.
Absolutely. Well, you don't need to wear a coat hanger here. You can relax and enjoy yourself.
It does put pressure on us because I'm going to have to go out tomorrow and buy some gear.
You really will.
I can't keep coming in with these Glenmuir jumpers. I'll need to get something.
Yeah, you really will, because sometimes when you're not in, your clothes walk in here on their own. He's got money to burn, let me tell you. So Scott Brown, thank you for all the messages. We mentioned earlier there about Scotland, Ukraine. You can give us your thoughts on that. Eddie says, I watch the show all the time and I love Big Ruffy's banter. I've got a question for him. As I was growing up, I don't remember much of the 90s when Gorham was playing. Who's the better goalkeeper in your opinion, Ruffy? Gorham or McGregor? That's Eddie's. That's a good question from Eddie.
I'd probably be biased and say Andy, because it was Andy who took over for me at Hibs. So I worked with him at Hibs when he was a younger player. Yeah. And then obviously through the Scotland days. And
did you help him as a goalkeeping?
He was there when I was at Hibs for a year before Alec Miller decided to move me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't start that again.
I'm not going down that road.
I've not got enough time. Different kind of goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Different. Andy wasn't as tall as Alan, but what he lacked in height, he made up for in shot stopping and big saves. They make big saves. When you talk about good goalkeepers, if you said Andy Gorham or you said Alan McGregor, the Rangers supporters instantly would remember a save.
Yes.
Not any save, but a save.
Yes.
A save that took them to the quarter-final or won a final or whatever. And the two of them were they were that kind of goalkeeper.
Yeah, if I think of Andy Gorham, I automatically think of Pierre Van Hooijdonk at Ibrox with the cross from
And I bet you if you
McKinley.
say McGregor, Werner Bremen.
Yes, Boubacar Sanogo, who Werder Bremen, the guy looked, I mean, it was a save for me, the equivalent of Gordon Banks. It was up there. It was so good, Alan McGregor's save for Rangers, because Rangers lost 1-0, but had they lost another goal, it was heading towards extra time, and and Werder Bremen had battered Rangers.
I think that's how you judge a goalkeeper. Sometimes you look back and you think they can be season defining in ways, or winning defining. I think if you go back to that League Cup final where is it 2019 when Celtic beat Rangers 1-0 and Fraser Foster really won them the game. They really all the saves. I think he essentially was the difference between the two sides. And I think if you have a goalkeeper that's a reliable custodian, you know he's worth X amount of points over the course of a campaign.
Ian Noble says Gorham was much better than McGregor, and I think I think you're right, Ruffy. I think lots of Rangers fans would go to a game and remember classic ones, especially if it's a long winning period like 9 in a row, and you start to look at the contributions of the various keepers who had the gloves at that time. So it's all good. It's good football chat. Good to get your thoughts on it. Thanks for that one. Keith says, Peter, could you ask Ruffy if he has any memories of the Scotland tour of South America in 1977? I think Jim Stewart played against Chile. He's not asking it on the basis where you bladdered, can you remember anything? He's asking about it on the basis of football, Ruffy. He says Jim Stewart played against Chile.
Second half.
Second half. Game played under controversial circumstances. Yeah. Why is that?
We were told not to go. There was a big demonstration about what was happening in Chile at the time, where there was a curfew at 10 o'clock. And it was, I remember clearly, we got letters and everyone told not to go, politicians telling us not to go, but the SFA decided to go.
Yeah.
And I remember in the Chile dressing room in Santiago, we went into the dressing room and you could see the bullet holes on the wall.
Wow.
Where they had lined people up and shot them in the dressing room. Right round the wall.
Is that right?
Absolutely incredible.
You're a barrel of laughs today. Thanks for that, Ruffy. I don't know why. Am I thinking I'm in the right zone here? I'm thinking General Pinochet. Yeah. So that was the time. And he goes on to say, Keith, Argentina and of course Brazil. You remember Brazil, Ruffy, because it was wall-to-wall Brazilians in the crowd. Always remember hearing stories of workplaces having TV screens installed so they could watch the match, which was played midweek at 3 o'clock and was live on Scotsport. Wow. But Keith says he had school the next day, so he wasn't able to see it. Did you know it was live on Scotsport?
No. 2-0 it was.
Yeah.
Zico, free kick.
Is that right? Again?
That was the first time.
Yeah, you think
you'd let your lips
you'd think you'd have known Ruffy for that time. Anyway, apart from anything else, we're going to talk Rangers Red Star Belgrade shortly. But tomorrow is just massive. It's Dundee against St Mirren. This one is massive because Dundee desperately need the win. St Mirren, since Stephen Robinson's arrived, can't get significant goals in there. It's just been so difficult for him. He can't get a win yet.
Yeah, he'll be desperate to get get the monkey off his back. But I think it's a bigger game for Dundee. I think when you look at it, they'll see it if they can get a result. It's maybe the catalyst then to try and catapult them away from that area. Whether or not it's a case realistically of being too little, too late. But I think it's a huge game. I think all of them are now. I think what's there 3 games before the split to go. I think whoever is in danger of becoming marooned now at this point can really find themselves in trouble. Yeah.
As far as St Mirren's predicament, speaking today, Stephen Robinson, the St Mirren manager, says, listen, even before I got here, St Mirren had problems not scoring goals.
It's been a problem long before I took over in terms of creativity and scoring goals. And I think that was evident on Saturday. But the big plus for me is Conor Ronan being available again. I think he's a huge part to play in terms of creativity and goals. And also Eamon Brophy. Eamon's not been fit since I came into the club. We're hoping he's getting close to full fitness now. So it gives you that, puts more goals into the team straight away just by them 2 players being involved.
Yeah, that's a big bonus. If Conor Ronan and Eamon Brophy take to the field trophy against Dundee, suddenly I think Stephen Robinson will feel far more confident about his predicament.
Yeah, as I keep saying, we played them first couple of games of the season and I was really impressed with Brophy and Main, and my immediate reaction was they're going to cause trouble. They're going to be really, really hard to defend. But unfortunately, one or two of them's been injured. They've never played together quite a lot. Obviously, McGrath's went away. I like the boy Tanzer. Is it Tanzer, the boy for St Johnstone?
Yeah.
And I thought but they have been consistent. And I think in this game tomorrow night, it's whoever scores the first goal. And if it's not Dundee, I think the fans will turn again.
Yeah.
And it'll make it really harder for the players on the park, the Dundee players on the park.
Yeah, and with that in mind, former Dundee boss James McPake was my special guest for a one-to-one this week. It's coming out this week as well. We're just bombarding you with special content. Pat Nevin will be out tomorrow. James McPake will also be out, and James will be talking to us over the weekend about the quarter-final ties. He's best placed. He's played them all as manager of Dundee, and he's assessing all the teams in the quarter-finals for us, and he's picked 4 teams to go into the semi-finals. I wonder if you can guess which teams he's picked out of them. There might be a wee surprise in there out of left field. Now, the other aspect of this is quite simply, as Ruffy said, your first goal might be the winner on this one, but Dundee, how much of a psychological boost is it, Ali, if they can leapfrog St Johnstone?
I think it's huge. I don't think you can underestimate that, especially at this point in the season, but I would have to say I've seen them in recent games. I'm not sure I see the evidence there that suggests they've got enough to stay up. I think they look like a team bereft of confidence, bereft of ideas, and I think if it goes against them tomorrow night, I think it could be a struggle.
Yeah, what's your prediction?
I'm going to go for a draw.
You're going for a draw. Ruffy, I am going to go for Dundee to win 2-1. There's something that's telling me they're just going to step up and produce something.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. I don't think there'll be much between the two. I think the 2 draws that Mark's got will give them some kind of confidence. I think the home advantage should be enough. Again, as I said, the first goal, I think if they get the first goal, I think they'll win it.
Yeah. Okay. What's your prediction? I love the way you've always for 10 years, Ruffy, always given me the probability.
2-1.
Yeah, 2-1 for who?
Dundee.
Okay, thanks God for that.
Keeps you underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to so many people offering their thoughts on quite a lot of the who's the best goalkeeper. I love that kind of chat with people, but I think some people obviously not happy with Alan McGregor's slip-ups this season, but over the piece, listen, many a goalkeeper's had a slip-up, Ruffy, for God's sake.
One of the best, Oliver Kahn, lost a horrendous goal in the final European Cup, and Neuer's done it as well.
Yeah.
De Gea, every goalkeeper you can mention has had a howler.
Absolutely, and I always remember the one of the world's best goalkeepers. In fact, surely one of the top 20 goalkeepers of all time, Sepp Maier. He suffered at the hands of Antonin Panenka, who actually did the chip in the European Championship final.
I know it's not a big sort of a thing goalkeeping wise, saving and that, but see the back pass rule. The kick, what they got. Yeah. A lot of goalkeepers wouldn't be able to do that.
No, you would have handled it, Ruffy.
It'd have been difficult. It'd been hard to get round.
Oh, you're left peg. You play outside as well.
You don't realise how hard it is to kick a ball. First time rolling it, you kicking it. I'll watch your wee goalie, Jamie Snedden. I think he's the best kicker of the ball I've seen for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out his hands and the ball coming on.
You would have handled it.
I did handle it, but it's another aspect to your game you'd have had to have mastered.
Yeah.
Okay, getting the ball at your feet and looking up and doing what the Man City boy does and everything. But to actually kick a ball, when somebody's coming in at you and clearing it, people just take it for granted now. But I know there's a lot of goalkeepers in my era would have struggled with that.
Under pressure too.
Under pressure, you think your groin and everything, and you're kicking the ball 60, 70 yards.
Yeah.
It's a difficult part of the game now.
The other thing I was going to say is I'm trying to think of who's the best at it. I think the Liverpool goalkeeper can pick a pass, and of course the Man City goalkeeper's good at it as well. I'm trying to think of who's the best at it though, that can actually just I know there was I can't remember his name for the life of me, but I know there was a goalkeeper from Colombia who used to take the free kicks as well. He used to come out. Rene Aguita was the other goalkeeper.
Navas, Guy Navas, he was good at that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good.
Tell you who wouldn't have been?
Jim Leighton. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. He was a nightmare, but a brilliant goalkeeper. Thank you to David Richardson, who says, Ruffy, were you not voted the player of that tour in the South America?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who said that?
David Richardson has just said that.
I'll bring in my trophy and I'll show you.
Did you get a trophy?
It was the sports writers player of
the tournament?
Player of the tournament.
Yeah. The other thing you've got to realise, Ruffy, is quite a lot of people who watch this programme who, the majority of them on the feed know their football. I mean, they're absolutely clued up.
He does.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And he's of a certain age that he knows.
Well, tell him I'll bring it in.
Oh, thanks to Scott Stewart. Chile. Yeah, thanks for that, Scott. There's these. He was unbelievable. In fact, Hugh Scott says he was from Paraguay. He might have been. He was definitely a South American, but Chilaver was his name. He could hit a free kick as well and score. He was absolutely magnificent. So thanks for that little mention there. And Tim says, Sepp Maier, big gloves, German.
First goalkeeper to wear gloves.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. He actually gave a pair to Andy Roxburgh, who was over doing a coaching thing, and he met Sepp Maier and he brought a pair of goalkeeper's gloves back because they were just beginning to wear them then, and they were just leather gloves.
Yeah?
Just a pair of leather gloves.
No padded?
No padded, not anything.
You didn't wear gloves, Ruffy, didn't you?
I'd never wore gloves for
Ever?
10 years. No, 10 years.
Did you start to wear them?
Yeah, I started to wear them.
Yeah.
Just gardening gloves you wore. No, the green gardening gloves.
With the little pimples on them?
Mm-hmm. And to move on, dustbin gloves. Dustbin men's gloves.
Yeah.
The big orange gloves with the suctions on them.
Yeah, because they could get a grip of the ball better.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you couldn't afford the gloves, you just get some chewing gum and just put them in your hand. Stick your hand.
No, you've made that up now, by the way. You're just talking a lot of rubbish. Anyway, you can always tell when his head's. You can see the wheels going behind his eyes, Ali. So Dundee, we've given you the prediction on this. Big game coming up. I mean, everybody talks sometimes about the money, but it is important for Scottish clubs because, you know, if you can go to Australia and get $3.5 million, then that's all well and good. But if you're in the latter stages of European competition, which Rangers have been for 3 seasons, getting to this stage, if they get past Red Star Belgrade, it's £1.5 million, and that's not to be sniffed at, Ali. That's good money.
It's significant. I think when you look at the difference it can make coming in terms of what you want to do and the investment that you're putting into the club. Also as well, we all know what the money is in terms of the TV deal and the sponsorship deal for the league in Scotland. You know, it's a drop in the ocean compared to the big leagues around Europe. So I think every little helps, and I think for a one-off tie, it's a substantial fee.
Yeah, and again, you're looking at the way Rangers play in European football. You can't rule it out. I mean, I know quite a few people have been talking about the fact that. I think Graham Souness was mentioning earlier on, a lot of people might be jealous of what Rangers do in European football. I don't see jealousy in it. It's like, if you're good enough and you win the games, take the plaudits.
No, not at all. They're a Scottish club. We should all be getting behind any club in European competitions. It's great to see, you know, and I keep saying the rest of Scotland clubs get a benefit of it because there's a cash handout at the end of the year and you all get divvied up for how successful the Scottish clubs do. And obviously the further Rangers get, the further teams in the lower divisions will get a wee handout at the end of the season. So that's why you should support them.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that in mind, Red Star Belgrade just tucked in nicely in second place in their own league, and it's a good league, and I always look at Red Star and think of the great players that they had. They're always technically proficient as well.
Yeah, and they come with some repute, you know, the pedigree, their European pedigree is good. I think Rangers will fancy themselves against them. I think they'll take a lot of confidence from recent seasons and just how they've played, no more so than the previous round when you dispatch one of the favourites. And I think at one point the balance of that tie, when it was at 5-4, you expected Dortmund to come and really put Rangers under pressure. So I think having coming out of that having won the game fairly comfortably, I think Rangers will fancy their chances.
Yeah, Ruffy?
Yeah, I don't think they'll fall into the trap, as Ali said, right, we'll beat the favourites. You know, this team aren't as good as them. There'll be, you know, quality in that side. We won't be talking about Haaland and all the players that Dortmund had. You know, the Red Star players won't be as high profile, but they certainly will be a quality side. And I don't think the Rangers backroom staff will underestimate them at all. They'll still have to play above what they're playing now. They haven't been totally impressive in the Premier League, but still winning. But this is another level, and the players will have to just adapt accordingly.
Yeah, Stankovic, Nemanja Vidic is another one that I think you look back on some of their great players that played when it was the old Yugoslavia as well, Ruffy. There were some belters along the way, some good, really good players, and that strip as well is iconic, isn't it?
It is, you know, that, you know, as you say, there has been some quality players, and their country have always been successful in the big competitions.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, have you got a prediction for it, Ruffy?
First game at Ibrox, I would think if they could get 2-0, it would be a bonus. But I think it'll be tighter than that, so I think it's going to be 1-0 Rangers.
Yeah, 1-0. I'll take 1-0, Ali.
Yep, I think you would. I'm going to go for 2-1 Rangers.
2-1 the Rangers? Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. You can give us your view as well on how you think Rangers are going to fare in that match, because they certainly, it's no longer a case of surprising anyone. Rangers are more than capable of getting past this section as well and going into the next round of the Europa League. They've done it all the way into this section before. No reason why this one couldn't be something special. Give us your thoughts on that as well. Thanks to so many people who are downloading the PLZ Soccer app as well. You get all the latest breaking stories, and you can watch the programme live as well, which is good going. Now, there's a little story that caught my eye, which I you know, sometimes you read a story, Ali, and you just think, I'm not too sure I believe that. Because of the ongoing situation with Russia, it looks as if the UK and Ireland could be a shoo-in to host the Euros. And there's talk if they do get the Euros, I think it's 2028, then, you know, there's a story going out that Celtic Park and Ibrox won't be involved in the bid, but Murrayfield would. I mean, I mean, it's in the Scotsman today, and I'm absolutely gobsmacked at that story, because how anybody in the UK could make a bid and include rugby escapes me.
And also, I think you've got two reputable stadiums within the
5-star
centre of Glasgow.
Yeah.
They're both easily accessible and have hosted international games before. They've also hosted European Champions League games before. I think it would be incredulous if they weren't included. I don't know the background to the story, but first impressions would be that I think if it were to be the case that the UK and Ireland were to get it and to be one of the hosts, I think they would definitely be up there in terms of hosting games.
No disrespect to rugby, why would you include a rugby stadium in it, Ruffy?
I think the only reason you would include it because of the attendance level.
Yeah.
If that was a criteria. You would think
Celtic Park's got 60,000, Ibrox has got 50.
Murrayfield's about 80 odd. I'm just saying if that was a criteria.
Is it 80?
I thought it was 80. I was thinking 82. But even
maybe.
still.
But you're saying what, 20 what?
2028.
Well, 2028, surely we can get our act together and get Hampden a lot.
No, Hampden will be a stonewall certainty.
Well, no, I don't think. I think Rangers and Celtic are more than ample.
Yeah.
More than ample.
Obviously, as soon as you mentioned that, the joy of it all now, we'd had... See if this program...
If you hadn't have said 82, he wouldn't have been checking that.
I'm just saying, listen, the problem is sometimes, I don't know about you, but I remember some of the journalists that we obviously try and bring on and give them a chance for a career. And one of them said to us, what did you do before computers? And I said, we went to the library and got a book out. Hello? You know? So it would have been sheer speculation. 67,144.
At Murrayfield.
So
it's not much more.
It's not much more.
A lot of rubbish sometimes.
Well, I'd agree.
I can't believe that. International Women's Day and he's slaughtering me. It's unbelievable. You're a disgrace, Ruffy.
Slaughtering me back because I said 80.
Anyway, well, listen, I would entertain it. I have to tell you, if it was.
I actually played on it in a football game, in a charity game. It's soulless. There's no atmosphere at it for me.
No, I think Celtic played a...
It's too
It's
far
Hearts,
away.
they played a
Yeah, they played a cup game, and they also played against the side that put them out.
European game, was
the
it?
one that was problematic. They got a fine. Ronnie Dyler, the dismal years of 2 years
I
of...
want to say Legia Warsaw, but I don't think it was.
It was.
Was it
Legia Warsaw, yeah. Soulless, no atmosphere.
So you check that, see if you get two wrong in a row.
No, she's right. Legia Warsaw. It was the Ronnie's a great coach at Celtic years. You know, when people try and mention great things about managers that you know just haven't got it, Ruffy. Simple as that. Anyway, he's proved it elsewhere, and he was able to take his clothes off as well in New York. Doesn't get any better than that. I'll tell you another man that you wouldn't be in any way surprised if he threw his top into the crowd. Harry Kane, magnificent last night.
Yeah.
They spanked Everton. I actually watched it and I thought to myself, God, how Everton have fallen. I mean, there's just been one bad decision after another.
Yeah, I thought they got their act together when he went in initially. He got a couple of good results, but I think that's another club that everything's going wrong behind the scenes. There's people pulling the strings. They've been there for too long. That needs to really sharp into and just change the whole place, because they are a big side, Everton.
Yeah, I am amazed. I mean, and by the way, this is a Tottenham side that, you know, are erratic to say the least, Ali. You never know what you're getting with them. I mean, somebody said to me last night when I was watching the game, why are you watching this? I says, well, there's one manager just in the door with a rotten side, and there's another manager who's not that long in the job, and he's got a team that he's actually questioning whether he should still be taking the money as a manager. You know, I mean, I feel sorry for Frank Lampard. He's inherited a mess, and Antonio Conte has got a club which basically has got the same players producing the same type of erratic results. Yeah,
Spurs have been particularly erratic this season. I think you couldn't trust them. You don't know what side's going to turn up. I thought they were excellent last night. I thought when they play like that, they're a very difficult team to beat. You saw it a few weeks back against Manchester City too. When they click, I think middle to front, they're pretty formidable. But I think they're another club where you would expect big changes again this summer. Yeah, I mean, here's an interesting one. David McFarlane says, get Patterson on for the Toffees. I'm not surprised Nathan Patterson's not playing. This is a boy who was just bought on potential. I mean, he's a really great prospect, you know, and he's come on and he's done well for Scotland, but he's not had enough games that you think he's going to be a regular right away at Everton. I mean, even Frank Lampard is saying he's going to have to wait, bide his time, learn his trade, and then make that step up.
Well, when you think what Kieran Tierney had done with Celtic, played in Celtic for a good few years, played in European football for a good few years, and even when he went to Arsenal, he couldn't get in the team right away, you know, for what he had done. So the boy Patterson hasn't even done half of what Tierney had done up here. So you're right, and the boy, I would like to think the boy would say, right, if it's another year, it's another year.
Here's the big dilemma, and I always like this. The only thing missing from this next question, Ali, is a glass of red wine for yourself, a Southern Comfort lemonade for me, a Guinness and a gin and tonic for you. Red wine
martini
as a chaser. But I was going to ask you, do you think Harry Kane will beat Alan Shearer's goal scoring record? Here's his stats so far. I noticed that Teddy Sheringham thinks he will. He's on 176 and Alan Shearer's 260. And I think he could move this season and go to a side that just creates chances for fun. But I am not sure. I don't think he's going to do it.
80, so he needs 80 odd goals. What age is he?
He'll be coming up in 29 shortly, I think.
80. So you would say, what, 20 a year, 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could do that.
Yeah, you going for it?
If he goes to the right team.
Is he a better player than Alan Shearer?
Different kind of player.
Yeah.
I would rather have Alan Shearer.
Than Harry Kane? Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here. Go on.
Different kind of player.
Go on, have your opinion. We don't mind. That's what it's about.
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know. I don't know. I think both are goal scorers, instinctive goal scorers, but I do think I think the game has moved on so much from then too. It's a different kind of game. But I think Kane he's a wonderful talent.
Oh, he's a great player,
He's a fantastic striker.
He's 29 in July, but I would take Shearer I would take Shearer. I like Shearer, and again, there's a wee nasty bit about him, Ruffy. I like somebody with a wee bit of a nasty streak in him. Score great goals, holds the ball up, brings other players into play. Not that Kane doesn't do that.
I would say that would be the difference, and I don't know the stats on this one. I think Alan Shearer would be more in a game of 90 minutes than Kane. I think Kane flirts out of games and you don't see him touching for 15, 20 minutes and all of a sudden, bang, it's a goal. Whereas I think Shearer put himself a bit more and got involved in the game. Yeah. But as you say, the game's moved on, so it's a different style.
Yeah, I'm going to read this out for Jimmy Duff, because Jimmy Duff is sitting at his computer right now and he's thought this one up for quite a few minutes, and I think he's just sitting there with a smile on his face. So Jimmy, I'm reading this out, and Ruffy will appreciate it. He just says Kane isn't able. Now, honestly, I mean, Jimmy, if your pals are listening, Jimmy, you're just going to have to take the flak for that one, because that's just abysmal. Anyway, and Greg Livingston makes a point that a number of people are saying here, if Kane was at Man City, he would have beaten Alan Shearer's record for sure. So it's one of those ones, Kevin De Bruyne in the middle supplying him. Greg, who am I to argue with it? It's such a good point, and so many people have made that. Although Ian Noble says Alan Shearer is one of the best strikers of all time, and I tend to agree with you. He's certainly up there in my book as a great striker, along with the likes of, I mean, for me, I was a huge Jimmy Greaves fan, a Dennis Law, just out and out strikers, Ruffy, who knew where the goal was. And of course, if you're talking strikers, Henrik Larsson. Yeah. I mean, just outrageous.
Yeah, you've named them all and you've left your palette, your favourite.
Well, Kenny could play anywhere. Kenny played goals. Kenny could have played for you in the South American tour and got man of the match.
I used to, one centre forward I remember coming into Spurs side, I thought for a couple of seasons he was magnificent.
Don't tell me. Can I guess
foreigner.
Is it a foreign player that came in the 80s, 90s, or?
Oh, I don't know what year it was, but you'll know who it is.
Right.
He was a German.
Oh, Klinsmann. You like Klinsmann? Yeah.
I thought when he came to Spurs, he just lit up the whole place for the time that he was there.
Yeah.
Some of the goals he scored.
Absolutely, but he also had a manager who decided to play. I think it was a 2-6-2 formation. Just when we have the ball, everybody attack. They were unbelievable under Ozzy Diaz. You're right, Ruffy. That was a good shout. But Ian says, is Kane good enough for City? I don't know, but there's certainly some great players that scored goals for fun. I could talk to you all day about strikers, but Kane's up there. Whether he can do it 260, what do you think? Give us your thoughts on that. Champions League, if you are a follower of football and you love your football, what game are you watching tonight? There can be only one. It's at Anfield. It's Liverpool against Inter Milan. They're 2-0 up from the first leg. Is it a shoe-in?
I'm not sure I would use the expression shoe-in. I would expect them to prevail, but I think it depends what happens in the first sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, what way the balance of the game goes, but I would expect them to come through it.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Anfield on a European night, Ali?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me rephrase that. Have you ever been... You know what's coming, don't you? Have you ever been to Anfield on a European night that doesn't involve Celtic?
I was there for work. I've worked at it at quite a couple of games. I covered the Liverpool Celtic game in that 2003 run, and I think I've been there I was there for a Liverpool Everton game, and I think I've been there one other time, definitely
European?
Twice. Possibly not.
European nights are special, Ruffy, at Anfield.
Well, I played at Anfield that night, and it was one of the best atmospheres I've ever played.
1977?
Scotland versus Wales.
Yeah.
It was just bouncing, the whole place, and I know it's moved on for then, and the Kop's not there anymore, but it still just gives you everything. You walk through the big gates.
Absolutely. Loved it on many a fantastic European night I've spent down there. Absolutely incredible. Great atmosphere as well. And so many memorable ones. But I think Jimmy's on a run now. He says, shoe in, you're talking cobblers. Jimmy needs somebody to take him out for a pint.
Tell they come on a Thursday when the Cowan's on. And the two of them could have a wee chat.
We could sit here and just talk complete and utter rubbish. Jimmy, we like the fact that you're in that zone. We like a bit of banter on the programme as well. And of course, listen, we do like getting caned as well, Ruffy.
Yep.
We do get battered from time to time. We like it as long as it's not abusive.
No, most of it isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
But here's one.
Go on.
No, I thought you
Oh
were
yeah. No, we do. I mean, at the end of the day, I think some people, go too far, Ali, and forget that football's like the fans are like dressing room humour. They love getting battered. They like battering their mates in a night out, caning them, having a laugh. That's what you want. That's the joy of it all. I mean, the one thing that I really love about going to any European match, and certainly you miss it when you're a journalist, but when you went as a fan, you wouldn't know this, but when you went as a fan, if you were lucky enough to get into the Kop, for example, if Liverpool scored or Celtic or Rangers scored, jumping on your mate's head is fantastic. It's a great feeling when they're all bouncing about and it's just completely and utterly mad.
I'm sure greater minds than mine will have talked about this, but I think there is a level of camaraderie that comes with it, particularly among males. I think there's a real...
You think so?
There is still a machismo element around of it, but I think it's a commonality. I think there's a bonding experience with it. I think there's a level of communication there too. I think that maybe transcends generations. I think in terms of, I don't know how often people have genuine heart-to-heart emotional conversations with family members, but sometimes football is a bridge to just communicate and to keep links alive.
I think on International Women's Day, Ali, I think things have changed dramatically. I mean, not to the point where no women that I know jumped in your head if there was a goal scored, only because I know quite a few of my sisters went to football. And they could handle themselves, by the way, they could fight. But
take your word
absolutely. If you better take my word for it, there's about 5 or 6 won't walk down the street in our village, Ruffy. But they like jumping on each other's head, great goals. And I mean, I know I've got a friend of mine we had on the show, Ruffy, Rhonda, who is a big Rangers fan. Rhonda Jones played for Scotland about 117 times. She loves celebrating with her mates. I think women like it as well.
I'm not saying that women wouldn't enjoy it, but I think particularly for males it would be a social element much more than it would be for women. I think you still have lots of women that go to games, maybe just not in the same collective, like they don't kind of hunt in packs the way that you would get big groups of guys that would go along.
Yeah, absolutely. Which reminds me, Alison, just before we finish, Ruffy, obviously Liverpool, Inter Milan, we'll hear from Jurgen Klopp in a minute, but when I was talking about people that I ran into on Saturday, a lot of them asking for you, I ran into my old flatmate from my days living in Edinburgh. He was from Paisley, Ruffy, and it was in the middle of Rangers 9 in a row. So he just got up every morning wearing his McEwen's lager Rangers top, and he absolutely he milked it for everything. And I was walking through Royal Exchange Square, and I saw him coming towards me, and I said, and I just thought to myself, wow, it's the first time I haven't seen him in his McEwen's lager top.
It's amazing, for whatever. I'm just saying Rangers or Celtic. If they're not doing particularly well, you don't see as many walking about with the shirts on.
Yeah.
But when there's a relevant or sexy, everybody's got their Celtic jersey on, everybody's got their Rangers jersey on, they're walking about the supermarket. It's just... Well,
I have to tell you, Martin Gemmell had it on for about 9 years solid. I don't think he ever took it off. But that's the joy of it all. Jurgen Klopp, like yourself, Ali, reckons Inter Milan are not coming to Anfield just to admire Liverpool.
That's a really good, really experienced team, and they don't come here as tourists. I know that. They want to chase the game, and that's what we want to do, because we are not a team who defends results or whatever, tries to get through somehow. We want to attack the game again, and let's see what we can get for it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think Liverpool will win it by a couple again.
Yeah, I think with Salah there, it's a 2-0 for me.
Yeah.
2-0 as well. I think Liverpool go through.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much to everybody who had their say, including Jim, who was the star of the show today, Ruffy. I think Jim gets the vote as the star of the show. There are too many to mention who don't get my vote. You know, there's another mate says to me again this week, please make the T-shirt. This is not the show for you. but at the end of the day, I like a bit of banter. Tomorrow it's Real Madrid against PSG, which I'll be watching, because who in their right mind, Ruffy, is going to watch Man City against Sporting Lisbon? They're 5-0 up from the first leg.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what team he puts out there, but they're still good enough to beat them.
Yeah, okay. Listen, we love our football. Don't forget, if you want to be part of the football family, hit the subscribe button. We'd love you to do that. Tell your mates, share the stream, let them know that we are on YouTube exclusively now, Monday to Friday. I would reckon, other than radio, there isn't another television show regularly, Monday to Friday, covering Scottish football, unless you're about to correct me, Ruffy, and tell me. Monday to Friday on YouTube, exclusively with our pundits and our special guests as well. It's well worthy of joining us. If you're a football fan, you love your club, we talk about every Scottish club. And with that in mind, Ali, are Partick Thistle going to beat Queen of the South tonight?
Yes.
There you are, Ruffy. I'm going for Partick Thistle to win as well.
Any kind of win would do me.
Yeah, absolutely. On that rotten pitch as well. To you, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.